All right, Broncos country, we're back, and Luke Wattenberg and Marvin Mims are back practicing today. David, that's huge for the Broncos. Bleav in Broncos, Mike Carmellini and David Marshall, presented by FanDuel. David, how you doing, my brother? Good to see you.
Man, I'm doing great. A lot to talk about with the Broncos, just a few days removed from their, blowout loss to the Green Bay Packers. But I think that there's a lot to discuss in terms of the movement with the back end of this roster. We'll go through our updated 53, and great to see guys returning to practice, and also great to hear that guys like Frank Crum, who got a little banged up in that game, as well as Riley Moss with his rib injury. Both of those seem to be not serious. So that's great. Y'all be sure, since we're live, get in the YouTube live chat, hit that like and subscribe, and drop us a review on the podcast apps.
Yeah, appreciate that. Appreciate you all tuning in. Riley Moss was at practice. He was off to the side. They said probably not going to be real serious. So we're trending in the right direction for the regular season, which is right where we want to be, David. So big update on the 53. Let's see if we can fly through this quick enough to get it all done. Because I want to get into the practice squad too. We're going to be putting people on the practice squad. So let's hit that. Let's go through offense. Nixon, Stidham, nothing changes there from what we've seen. Ellinger probably over to the practice squad again if he stays around. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes.
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay, what do you got in the running back room?
Dobbins, Harvey, Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else that's on this roster, I think they're practice squad caliber. That's it, including Jaleel. Sorry, man.
Yeah, I think Jaleel probably ends up there. I don't know if there's going to be room for Tyler Bidet again. I mean, at this point, we don't know. Not real impactful, but I'd be surprised if he sticks around. I think he's had his shot.
Trey Benson just got waived, and I'm kind of wondering if the Broncos might put a claim in on him. Again, probably not going to get the most opportunity here, but you can find himself on another active roster. I think Trey Benson has shown more than all these other guys have, even if in his limited time.
Yeah, I think the end of camp, end of preseason cuts, the cut down is where this is going to get really interesting, David. Wide receiver, assuming Waddle, Sutton, Frank, Bryant, Mims, all be there. No changes there, I would imagine, but I imagine in the practice squad, Jack will make an appearance. Is he making the practice squad?
Yeah, a little bit of a spoiler there, but I think that there's some debate that we'll get to regarding Colby Katzis or Cam Ross. I think that we can all agree right now that Hakeem Butler has absolutely shown us nothing to even warrant a practice squad spot, which is so disappointing.
Yeah, I want to shout out Darian Cornbread in the chat. Good to see you guys. Appreciate you coming in. Speaking of Cornbread, he says Prentice. I'm assuming you'll have him in the tight end fullback area there, right?
Yeah, so this is what I got. There's a little bit of an asterisk, right? Ingram, Troutman, Jolie, Atkins. Those are the 4 tight ends I'm keeping. But if we sign Taysom Hill, this is where we fit him in. If we don't, or we sign him to the practice squad, this is where Adam Prentice has his spot, man. I think either one of those guys finds a spot on the 53. Now, you might say, hey, maybe we can keep Prentice on the practice squad and get away with having only 4 tight ends / fullbacks on the roster. But right now, I don't know. I just like what we've seen from Prentice in the preseason.
Yeah, and Sean's made it pretty clear that it's a fullback team. So the Taysom Hill conversation is real. I still think he's going to be on the roster at some point. They'll probably stash him on the practice squad or something. We'll get into all that. Offensive line, the tackles. You break it up, tackles and guards, swing, or do you? Okay, so what do we have there?
Bowles, McGlinchey, Palcho, Frank Crum. I'd say Frank Crum's kind of had a tough preseason, but again, I think that we've seen good stuff from him in the past. Right now, I feel like he's played better at left tackle than he has right, and I just still believe in the raw talent that he is over Matt Pert. I think you can get away with Pert on the practice squad if you wanted to have him there. We'll talk about that here in a moment. But yeah, for those guys, then Miners, Powers, and Casey at guard, and then Wattenberg and Forsyth. So keeping 9 players there.
Yeah, good
Throckmorton.
group. Yeah, we got to talk about Throckmorton. You got to be pushing him out. Honestly, if Forsyth's healthy and Wattenberg, I'm not sure where you would put Throckmorton. Unless they try and keep 10, but then you're gonna have to cut somewhere else. I think you're right.
10's a luxury. If we weren't keeping so many tight ends / fullbacks, then maybe we could do that. But again, I think Calvin Throckmorton's been a mainstay on this practice squad for like 2-3 years. So I think that you can keep in there.
I think this is a strong group, and it anchors with Garrett Bowles and FanDuel. Shout out FanDuel, obviously sponsoring the show. Garrett Bowles is the 3rd best odds for Protector of the Year. Probably well deserved, David. He's remarkably healthy after his first couple seasons. He's really turned into one of the best players. One of the 6 Broncos in the top 100 in the league. I guess we'll have to talk. Was it 150 or 100? I can't remember. The top 100. We'll have to get into that one of these shows and talk about the Broncos that made it into the top 100. But today we're talking about who makes it into the 53. There's your offense. I agree with everything you have here. So let's move right to defense. You want to start on the line and work our way back?
Yeah. So defensive line, 7 players, man. Zach Allen, DJ Jones, Malcolm Roach as your starters. Owazurike, Onyedem, and Jordan Jackson are probably those 3 reserve. And then also Savion Jones. Now, I think Savion Jones has probably been one of the bigger disappointments so far on the defense. You're not going to cut him, even though he's been disappointing. You're going to give your 3rd round pick you traded up for a little bit more leeway. But I think like right now he's definitely looking like a guy that's on the active roster, but not dressing for games. So that's why you kind of got to keep Jordan Jackson, because you haven't seen the jump you've wanted to see in Savion Jones. So I got 7 there. What about you?
Yeah, I do. I have Jones hanging on. He's on the bubble for sure. But Jackson has shown out and actually played better. And then Onyedem, they're pretty high on him. And so I think this stacks up exactly the way it's going to stack up. So, I agree with all that. Let's go edge here. These should probably be the same since the last time we talked with Cooper, Benito, Ellis, Tillman, and
Robinson.
And Q. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe Drew Sanders could have made a case, but man, this man had a sack and then missed the freaking game again this past weekend. Inexcusable from Drew Sanders, man. I'm done with him. So right now we got our 5 edges. We'll see what happens with Johnny Walker, but he really hasn't done much either to warrant an active roster spot right now.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if we even have a practice squad spot for Drew Sanders at this point. I don't know. I don't know how you come back from all that. So linebacker is going to be really interesting to me. I think we keep 4. Any changes in there, David?
No, I'm keeping the same guys we talked about last week, Reed and Murdoch as our backups, but I do think it is noteworthy the fact that Jordan Turner got on the field before him. I don't think he looked great or really popped or anything like that, but it is his first game action, since coming back. I don't know how long he had been practicing for. So, we'll have to see. That's going to be something that we got to monitor, but I think sometimes when these guys have been on practice squads for at least a little bit, like Jordan Turner was last year, most likely you can keep him this next year. So I think that even if they elevate Jordan Turner, I think that they could get away with him on the practice squad, especially because he's only played in 1 preseason game so far.
Yeah, big week for Torian York. I thought Karene Reed has elevated himself with his play and his camp this year. And is this his 3rd year or second year? Okay. So high hopes for him. Real aggressive to the ball. I think he's I think we've got one there. We'll see with extended playing time.
Oh, yeah, I just want to throw this in there. Jordan Turner, 1 tackle, 2 missed tackles this past weekend. So, yeah, it was a rough game for him.
Yeah, I think his PFF grade, not that that's the beat-all, end-all, was pretty bad too. Now safety got interesting. Taylor Rapp comes in. We pick him up after a tryout. Sean Payton said, look, we really like the guy. I think he fits what we want to do. He's going to get a chance. He's, at the facility now. He's practicing. So I'm assuming he's on your roster under the safety banner.
Yeah. The Broncos have gone 5 safeties a lot of the time with Sean Payton. And so I think Taylor Rapp fits in well behind our starters and factoring in with our backups being Devin Key, JL Skinner, and then, of course, Taylor Rapp. I think we keep 5 safeties. I like what we've seen out of JL Skinner so far. He's been one of the bigger risers, a guy that we had question marks coming in here. Could he hold on to another a roster spot for another year? I think he's looked great. And, I think Taylor Rapp does provide some stability in that room. But, again, it might have taken a little bit longer for things to click for JL than what we had hoped. But, again, can't deny the fact he's a 6'4", 220-pound safety. Those don't grow on trees, right? I want to keep him. And I think that you would see another team, if he was released, say, you know what, we're going to bet on the physicals and all of that, and the physical traits. So, yeah, keep 5 there. I can't wait to see what Taylor Rapp looks like. I still doubt, though, that we'll see him this week against the Vikings.
Yeah. He's supposedly 100%, but he hasn't been at practice very long. So, I mean, maybe it's kind of a why bother putting him out there. I don't see this any other way. I don't see Key or Skinner getting cut. I see Tyson Anderson being cut, which is what you have here. And so I'm pretty much on board with everything you've got here on the defense so far. And then with cornerback, I mean, without a move or a trade, I don't know how this changes at all. Of course, Surtain and Moss and McMillan are your starters, and then KAD and Jahdae Barron again are your reserves or rotational players. You sticking with that? Is that is that the same room?
Yeah, the 5 corners. I did want to shout out Darian because he said that he would keep Sean Fresh on here, and that is something to consider if the Broncos are wanting kind of a second main returner there. Because right now, the guys that have flashed returning, you've had Sean Fresh, Colby Katzis, Cam Ross. None of these guys I've had on my 53. And of course, maybe you could elevate somebody from the practice squad initially, but I think like right now with how I have things working, you'd have Mims back there. And then I don't know, maybe Jonah Coleman. I think he's returned stuff in the past. I don't really know what you would do as that second kickoff returner, which is pretty interesting. Maybe RJ Harvey, have him back there, but do the Broncos want to expose him to take in some of those hits on kickoffs? I think that Darian brings up an interesting point of you got to consider somebody with returnability. Maybe Sean Fresh is a guy that gets a 6th corner spot being here because of that. But for right now, I have him left off the active 53.
It's going to be tough to fit him on a 53 that's already got some players that you'd kind of like to see on the 53, but you can't fit on there right now. And that's where, Rizzi is going to fight for a couple guys, when they have those 53 meetings. And this is where I think the 53 that we have is pretty obvious depending on who they stash and play that roster game. But this is a big question. You would think someone out of the cornerback room, the wide receiver room, or running back room could handle the backup kick returns, punt returns. Right now, of course, Mims is handling a lot of that. Tyler Bidet, I think it was one thing that he did occasionally was do some returns. So he had some ability there. I don't know if we can fit Katzis or if we can fit, Fresh on the is that who we're talking about? Are we talking about
Katzis, Ross,
does Brent Austin do any return stuff? No. Okay. It would be so tough to fit him on there too. Yeah, I think that's a problem. Especially if you want to protect Mims. a little more if you're planning on using him more. They might not want to risk him so much in the return game too. So Katz has showed out pretty well last week in the return game. I think Ross has got some ability too. But they can call these guys up if needed with these new rules too. So I mean, this is tough. All right, here's where I know. So special teams hasn't changed, of course. So now let's build this practice squad. This is where I'm not going to fight with you. All right, I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go, and we'll just see where it goes because I just want to see if we have like minds.
You would switch out. So
okay.
I Bleav I have the correct rules for the practice squad. So you can have 16 players, up to 6 of them being vested veteran players, right? So right now I have 4 vested veterans, and then the rest are like guys in their rookie contract years. So to start this out, those veteran players being Sam Ehlinger, we'll have to have a quarterback spot. Maybe we sign somebody else, but he's that placeholder for that quarterback. Will Jordan Humphrey, Jaleel McLaughlin, and Calvin Throckmorton. All 4 of these guys have their roles on this team, especially now with Throckmorton showing that he can also be our emergency center if needed.
I agree with all those.
Okay, cool. Then come the developmental guys. So at the offensive line, Gavin Ortega, Tyler Miller. Now, Gavin Ortega, he might be more of a long shot, right, to develop, but you could have maybe Matt Pert in his place as well because he could fit another veteran spot on here. You can have up to 6. Then Tyler Miller, who, I mean, I liked what we've seen at right tackle from him, UDFA out of Iowa State. And then this is kind of where things get a little tricky. I have 2 more wide receiver spots in addition to Lil Jordan Humphrey. Michael Bandy, I'm leaving off this. Sorry. I like what we've seen from Cam Ross. You could put Colby Katzis in here, but I think it's only going to be one of those guys. And then Joseph Manjack. I think Manjack has shown a little bit more out of the just being a straight up receiver than either Ross or Katzis has. Well, I'll pause there. What do you think about those offensive line spots and wide receiver spots?
Well, the Ortega Matt Parrott thing is going to be 50-50 for me. Now, I think this next game might tell a little bit more because I think Ortega is going to get a ton of playing time in that game. So maybe we'll table that. Now, Cam Ross over Katzis. I'd actually be surprised if Katzis doesn't make this practice squad somewhere.
Okay.
Now, I'm just trying to think of where he would fit in. Reese Taylor hasn't done much, but they're probably going to want to keep him on there. Also, wouldn't Taysom Hill fall into the vested veteran over 4 years where he can sit on a practice squad? He would fall into those rules too, right? He wouldn't be subject to waivers. Nobody could pick him up.
Yeah. You could do that. Or if you're like cutting Adam Prentice, you could have a spot for him. Again, I would kind of reserve one spot for one of those guys between Hill, if he's a thing, or Adam Prentice if he doesn't make the roster.
I'd say I agree, but I think I would find a way to put Katzis on the practice squad somehow.
Okay.
And that's something we'll have to study and dig into because I'm assuming 16 might be the limit here. I thought maybe with an exemption we could have 17.
That'd have to be international, I Bleav.
Okay.
So,
Cornbread says, quit dreaming. Taylor is retired. Are you talking to us? Maybe means Taysom is retired.
Yeah, Taysom hasn't retired, but I'll keep dreaming. I'll get to the last 8 guys that I got here on the squad.
Okay.
One tight end here, Dallin Bentley. Caleb Lohner, I think, is going to spend the year on IR. Lucas Kroll, it hasn't been fun, and it's over. So Dallin Bentley staying there. 2 linebackers being Torian York and Jordan Turner. Johnny Walker at edge. Sorry, Drew Sanders. Go somewhere else, please. Brent Austin and Reese Taylor at corner. I like the idea of keeping 2 corners, and then Miles Scott, one of our other 7th round draft picks, rounding this out. And again, that last spot being, a free agency signing, a Trey Benson or Taysom Hill, or, a spot for somebody like Adam Prentice, something like that. So that's how I would have it. But I want to be a little bit heavier on, carrying 3 offensive linemen, 3 wide receivers, 3 DBs being Austin Taylor, Miles Scott, and then kind of going from there. I wish I could have kept another defensive lineman, but I haven't been impressed with Jordan Miller. And again, you're already carrying 7 in this scenario on the active roster. You probably just roll with those guys.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to argue with any of this. Where they can fit somebody in. So I guess I would say, looking at this, would be Ortega, Reese,
Reese Taylor.
Yeah, Reese Taylor, maybe Brent Austin could be vulnerable to that.
Yeah.
Any of those 3 I could see vulnerable. Also, Tyler Miller, he's like the huge tackle, right?
He's 6'8".
Yeah. Now I didn't watch him that close. I guess maybe I should go back and watch him, but I could definitely see us keeping another tackle on the practice squad. So that makes sense for me. Dolan Bentley has to go to the practice squad at this point. I think you're right there. You roll the dice, you see what happens. It would be a surprise to me if somebody picked up Dolan Bentley. He was a 7th round pick, and there's no reason why another team would snatch him up. But again, you're not going to put Justin Jolie on the practice squad, or that name's too big out there. Atkins is a name I see brought up. I saw it brought up in the chat again. That he's never healthy, or that he's always. I think they value him a lot, David. I have him on the 53 as well. In fact, your 53, I wouldn't change anything on. I think the practice squad we're really close on, but this is one of the more, I don't know if stressful is the right word, but this is going to be one of the more interesting cut down days for me. I'll be surprised if you're not really close on this. I will be watching, even though I think they'll be all right. I will be watching Torian York and Dolan Bentley, and probably not Miles Scott so much, but I'll be watching these guys closely on waiver day, because they will be, susceptible.
Yeah, big performance with one of these guys might be able to change things for them. But I don't know. With Nate Atkins, it's tough because, again, they do value him. They signed him to a higher tender than what I anticipated. Can't remember offhand, but I also had a dream a few days ago that we signed him to a 3-year contract extension. So that might be why I'm just keeping him here on this, roster. Just, there's something in the back of my mind that's saying Nate Atkins is a mainstay here, whether I like it or not. So we'll have to see. But I think the biggest hole right now with this team is just figuring out what they're going to do with kickoff return, with really only having one proven returner on this active roster.
Cornbread asked about McCullough. Still haven't seen really anything from him. So, it's not over till it's over, but we'll see. And, as far as dreaming about the team, dreaming about picks and contracts, that's why you follow David on David Talks Broncos. I'm Mike Carmellini from Mile High Monsters. Thanks, everybody in the chat. I think that's our 53, guys. Practice squad, I would say maybe a chance of 3. 3 that aren't going to be exactly the way David has it. So I think we're going to be really close here, David. So, nice work.
I'm right 60% of the time, 100% of the time.
That's it for us. Shout out again to FanDuel sponsoring the show. David, thanks, man. Banger job. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, chat, on the big show. Take care.